Good evening, you're now with me, Radzi Ahmad, for TVS Nightline. Here are the headlines for tonight. Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg declines to reveal details on the agenda of the next upcoming special DUN sitting. Instead, it will be announced by the DUN speaker during an upcoming pre-council meeting. Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim is set to lead a delegation to Jakarta on July 29 to discuss several issues between the two countries. One of the key issues being the maritime border dispute in the Ambalat region. In world news, Iran announces the suspension of the country's cooperation with the IAEA. That is after Iran's parliament passed legislation to suspend cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog last week. More on that later. Sarawak Premier Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg declined to reveal details on the agenda of the upcoming special Sarawak State Legislative Assembly or DUN sitting. He said the full agenda will be announced by DUN Speaker Tan Sri Dato' Amar Muhammad Asfia Awang Nasar during the upcoming pre-council meeting.
Kita ada pre-council, speaker mandang kita.
Recently, the media received an official notice of a special DUN sitting, which was issued to all 82 members of the State Legislative Assembly. The notice, signed by the Speaker himself, states that the special sitting will begin at 9 a.m. on July 7th, as stipulated under Standing Order 8-3 of the Sarawak State Legislative Assembly's Standing Orders. Artificial intelligence should not replace the core principles of journalism, but rather be used to support and improve journalistic work. Sarawak Premier Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg stressed that technology should remain a tool and never a substitute for the human values that define quality journalism, such as integrity, empathy, and moral courage.
These are the values that no machine can replicate. In truth, technology is at its most powerful when it works together with humanity, not when it replaces it. That is why the future of journalism is not artificial, but augmented. It is about enabling journalists to do more, reach more, and inform more with greater accuracy and depth.
In his keynote address at the 2025 Sarawak Media Conference today, Abang Johari also reminded journalists to remain relentlessly driven in their pursuit of truth.
It is the responsibility to amplify the voices of the voiceless, amplify the voices of voiceless, to hold the powerful accountable, and to strengthen the social fabric of our communities. Today's journalists are not only storytellers, they are the guardians of public trust. And that trust must be defended with every decision we make, including the use of technology.
Meanwhile, teachers in Sarawak may soon receive specialized training in AI, equipping them with the know-how and skills to use AI effectively in the classroom. The state government is now considering the possibility of implementing such a program, as announced by Sarawak Premier Abang Johari.
Ladies and gentlemen, with the request of Cikgu, I support your request. We have this conference. What is important is the value system in AI, so that we can educate our students not to misuse AI. And then we have to, tell them and develop AI is just a machine without common touch. but we are not machine. We have emotion.
Earlier in his opening remarks, Deputy Minister in the Premier's Department for Corporate Affairs and the Sarawak Public Communications Unit, Dato Abdullah Saidul, voiced the aspirations of Sarawak's teachers, calling on the state government to consider introducing a dedicated program on AI to help broaden their knowledge and skills in the field. Sarawak may witness the emergence of a chip-based technology that can detect whether AI-generated content is real or fake, with a group of scientists currently working to make it a reality. Sarawak Premier Dato' Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Joritun Openg said the breakthrough, designed to fight deepfakes and digital scams, could become a reality within 5 to 10 years.
That's why saya siap penyebut tu kerana setidaknya malah kisah saya bukan saintis, saya tu macam aja. But there is an evolution of technology coming up. That's why this technology is being worked out. You know, there's a chip yang saya baca lah, that this chip will solve problem. So in the process of solving this problem, this chip will articulate whether betul kan tak betul. So kata tadi ada checkmate lah, checkmate. But maybe in another 5 years or 10 years time, you have the technology.
In other news, Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim is set to lead a delegation to Jakarta on July 29 for the annual consultation with the Indonesian government to discuss several outstanding issues between the two countries. At a press conference today, Communications Minister Dato' Fahmi Fadzil said one of the key issues on the table is the maritime border dispute in the Ambalat region.
Kita jangkakan banyak daripada perkara yang memang telah dibincangkan sejak sekian lama akan dibawa sebagai perkara untuk dibincangkan. Proses konsultasi tahunan ataupun annual consultation ini kebiasaannya menjadi forum yang terbaik di antara pemimpin kedua negara menyatakan pandangan dan mencari hala tuju dalam satu-satu isu. Isu berkenaan dengan Ambalat telah lebih 2-3 dekad. Dia bukan satu perkara yang baru dan saya jangka ini akan menjadi antara perkara yang dibincangkan.
Recently, Foreign Minister Dato' Sri Muhammad Hassan said that Malaysia would seek a win-win outcome with Indonesia regarding the Ambalat border issue. Earlier media reports said Anwar and Prabowo had affirmed both countries' commitment to accelerating strategic cooperation in various fields, including a peaceful resolution of the Ambalat dispute and mutually beneficial joint development in the maritime border region. In Johor, a drug syndicate has garnered much attention for its modus operandi. The dealer connects with buyers via WeChat, and the drug will then be placed by the side of any drain that they deem safe. Johor Police Chief Dato' M. Kumar stated that the suspects were arrested following 3 separate raids by the Narcotics Crime Investigation Unit of IPK Johor within the vicinity of the city on June 19th.
Sindiket ini menggunakan saluran sosial media, iaitu WeChat, untuk menjual bahan-bahan dadah ini. MO dia akan berhubung dengan WeChat, tinggalkan dadah-dadah atau bahan yang dicaki dadah ini di tepi jalan untuk diambil oleh pembeli atau pengguna. Pembayaran dibuat online menggunakan saluran-saluran yang tertentu.
5 suspects were arrested, including 3 locals and 2 Vietnamese women aged between 29 to 46 years old. A good amount of illegal drugs, 5 luxury cars, various kinds of jewelry and cash were also seized, with an estimated amount of 3.2 million ringgit. Kumar also revealed that the 3 local men had previous criminal records related to illegal drugs and other crimes. They are being remanded until Thursday to facilitate investigation under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, while the Vietnamese suspects will be investigated under Section 6(1)(6) of the Immigration Act 1959-63.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian today announced the suspension of the country's cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA. Last week, Iran's parliament passed legislation to suspend cooperation with the United Nations nuclear watchdog, and Anadolu Agency today said the president approved the law requiring the government to implement that suspension. The move comes after growing tensions between Tehran and the IAEA over monitoring access and transparency in the wake of recent military confrontations with Israel and the United States. A 12-day conflict between Israel and Iran erupted on June 13th when Israel launched airstrikes on Iranian military and nuclear sites. Tehran launched retaliatory missile and drone strikes, while the U.S. bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites. The conflict came to a halt under a U.S.-sponsored ceasefire that took effect on June 24. Iranian officials have sharply criticized the IAEA for what they describe as the agency's silence in the face of the Israeli and U.S. attacks. Tehran also lambasted the agency for a resolution adopted on June 12 that accuses Iran of non-compliance with its nuclear obligations. At long last, a ceasefire that has been much needed and craved by many Palestinians and its supporters around the world was announced. Although skeptics say that Israel will find one way or another to violate the truce, but for now, the ceasefire will last for the next 60 days. Trump said on social media that Israel has agreed to the necessary conditions to finalize the 60-day ceasefire, and he will work with all parties to hopefully end the war. Among the parties involved are representatives from Qatar and Egypt, who will become the mediators in the conflict and would deliver the quote-unquote final proposal. While peace talks are underway, Israel continues its killings. Just last night, a missile strike that hit Khan Yunis dealt a substantial amount of damage to Palestinians who were soundly asleep. Take a look.
حصار فوق الحصار ولا أكل ولا شرب ولا أي حاجة ويومي شبابنا بتموت وأطفالنا بتموت ونسائنا بتموت. وين الأمة؟ وين العالم؟ وين الضمير؟
سنتين حرب على الشعب بتجاوز 2 مليون، على أرض بتتجاوز 300 كيلو. على أي حرب؟ على أي حرب؟ على مين؟ على الأطفال، على الأجنة بتكون أمهاتهم. على إيش؟ الأجنة صاروا هدف، النساء هدف، الأطفال هدف. يوم 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 بنشيع فوق 100 شهيد.
Ukraine appealed to the United States for clarity after it was caught off guard by a White House announcement that Washington was halting some arms shipments to the war-battered country. The Ukrainian Defense Ministry, which is deeply dependent on U.S. arms, said it had not been notified about the reduction in aid announced one day earlier. Moscow reveled in the decision, saying it could bring the end of the war closer.
Kiev has long feared halts to U.S. aid after Donald Trump returned to the White House in January, having criticized the tens of billions of dollars in support and weapons sent by his predecessor Joe Biden. John Ginkel, the deputy chief of mission at the U.S. Embassy in Kiev, was summoned by the Foreign Ministry, a rather rare diplomatic move usually reserved for foes and rivals, not vital allies, given uncertainty about what the cuts would mean for Kiev. Meanwhile, several Ukrainians expressed fear, while others are optimistic that the decision will be temporary.
Розчарування, звичайно. Це розчарування, тому що ми звикли до того, що сприймали Америку як країну цінностей, країну, яка захищає демократію не тільки в себе, а й назовні. Пам'ятаємо Будапештський меморандум. І все це просто розчарування, але є сподівання, що вони згадають свої цінності. Можливо, ми якраз тому існуємо і так боремось, щоб оці країни, старі демократії, так само про свої цінності пам'ятали.
Що це так? Велика політика і так далі. Пакет Байдена, це призупинений, але не зупинений. Я ж так розумію, там ж теж є якісь закони, згідно яких пакет Байдена має бути одобрений в якісь часові рамки. Тобто це просто призупинення.
The White House had said it was halting some key weapons shipments promised by the previous U.S. administration without elaborating. Under Biden, Washington spearheaded Western support for Ukraine, with Congress having approved more than $100 billion in aid, including $43 billion in weaponry. Trump instead has pushed the two sides into peace talks, including in phone calls with Russian President Vladimir Putin, who rejected calls for a ceasefire and demanded Ukraine cede more territory if it wants Moscow to halt its advance launch in 2022.
And those were the updates on TVS Nightline. I'm Razi Ahmad. Thank you for watching.